So here are the questionable picks.
Yeah.
So these aren't necessarily you're noting him as questionable. They're just the Twitter sphere.
Yeah.
And the analysts will be like, what are you doing there? So the Raiders probably had the first one of the night. Alex Leatherwood, the tackle out of Alabama, who you like.
Yes.
17th overall. DJ K. Ray says Mike Mayock is getting roasted. How bad was the Leatherwood pick?
Leatherwood has first-round traits. He does. So, I mean, I had him going to the Ravens at the end of the first.
Yeah.
Right? There is a need for the football team here. You heard, if you listen to Mike Mayock, I mean, it sounds like Tom Cable was ready to stand on a table and a podium and everything else. He loved Leatherwood. So he was loved within the building. There is a position of need here. I think he right away can step onto their team and be a starting guard and dominant at that. He really has the potential to be a really, really special right tackle. I don't know what happened a little with him in his pass protection this year in Alabama, but obviously it's nothing physically where you're like, well, his feet are bad or he's not strong enough or anything like that. He had this bad habit this year of like locking out his arms and being like, I'm so strong I don't even have to move my legs anymore. And he would stop them for a second. And people kept going around him like to where you were like, what the hell is wrong with this guy this year?
Yeah.
So I think the big thing with it there is just, if I was going to be critical is, and we don't know, but was there a trade down opportunity? That's again where you just like knowing the board, right? And having a feel.
But if you thought he was good enough to go at the end of the first round, it's not a huge overdraft.
No, it's not a huge overdraft. It's not. But they have when you already have a MO for doing that, as in Damon Arnett from last year or Cleveland Ferrell the year before that, there's a microscope on it now. So I think that's what makes it even, pop to people more.
You know what it shows you is how you can set the narrative when you are one of these draft analysts, right? The narrative is set so early by Mike Mayock in years past, right? Mike Mayock, if he's like, wow, this guy is still on the board, people are like, what are teams doing? Teams are idiots out there. They should be drafting this guy.
Right.
Now that Mike Mayock is an actual decision maker in the league, everyone's like, Mike's an idiot. What's he doing taking these guys?
He's getting the other side
of
this.
It's like when you have to make the picks, it's just like it puts it in a totally different light. You can't really control the story as well. Mike Mayock's finding that out.
Where was Gruden in the draft room, round one?
Yeah.
Did you notice that he wasn't there?
Something else to do. Yeah, maybe he took the day off.
I just thought that was curious that there's no Gruden in the draft room.
Yeah, last year he was there with a big whiteboard behind him with all their picks, and
they were all
center of
like
attention.
celebrating. And I'm always looking for Gruden, and he wasn't in there. I don't know, maybe he had to take a pee or something.
What about the Saints? End of the first round, questionable. Defensive end Payton Turner out of Houston, 28th overall. Second round, they got a linebacker who you're not enamored with, right? Pete Werner.
No, not exactly. Yeah, I mean the Saints. It's not that I want to sit here and again, I don't want to say any of these are bad. I don't look at it like bad, but Payton Turner at the end of first round. Would I rather have an Ojulari or something, or Tryon, who were drafted after him? Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I would rather have them. Turner has some traits, again, to like. I think, I don't know, I think I said he was somebody that would go between 40 and 60 when I was doing, my evaluation of that position and everything like that. Mm-hmm. He's got true, get-off. He's a twitchy, pretty explosive athlete. He's stiff as an athlete. He's very upright and straight. And since he's very high cut and high waisted too, he can get knocked off balance and be on the ground a little bit more than you would like for a guy that you take at pick 28. But yeah, I mean, Joe Tryon, Ojulari, Rousseau from Miami, I think all were ones that I probably, if you put a gun to my head, I'd rather have those guys than Payton Turner.
This is a big one here, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on the Buccaneers going with Kyle Trask in round number 2. Still had Kellen Mond on the board, right? Davis Mills still on the board, drafted shortly thereafter. But Kyle Trask going to Tampa. And do we have a picture too? Kristen, do we have a picture of Kyle? Already wearing number 2.
He's in the deuce.
That's not in the rafters. That's an eligible number to be picked.
How dare they don't put that in the rafters? What are they thinking?
This your post NFL career is enough to put that on ice. What'd you make of that, Kyle Trask, second round?
I was surprised he was the first guy off the board. Out of the big five, I was. I don't really see, and again, this is why I don't see Kyle Trask as ever being a starting quarterback in the NFL. I don't see that. That's where I find it curious. Now, obviously, Bruce Arians and company see other things there, but
why don't you?
Like, not mobile. People want to talk about Kellen Mond. Mac Jones. Come on. This is a prehistoric dinosaur moving in the pocket compared to Mac Jones.
People are going to want to compare him to Mac Jones because the numbers are kind of. You look at Kyle Trask's numbers and you're like, wow, this guy's awesome.
Yeah. Well, they had a good team, and and when I did the quarterback rankings and all that, anyways, they found 9 million ways to throw the same route. That's all he ever throws is some form of a fade down the left or right sideline. Are we going to pick for the slot guy? Is the running back going to do it? Are we going to have the receiver run a fake slant and then get there? It's all the same thing, but it's below average arm. It's below average athlete. And yes, he's got good size, but like I said, at times, he throws off his back foot and so much and all of this stuff too. I just want to go, what's the point of being that big if you're not just going to stand in there and deliver the throw with your legs underneath you and all that type of stuff? So I just don't see it. That's all I'm saying. Right. You know my feelings. Yes, I think Kellen Mond blows him out of the water. But they obviously saw it a different way.
While we're talking about Kellen Mond, this one comes from Adam Blackall. It says, do you reckon there's any chance that Mond beats out Cousins this year? P.S. Love the pod. P.P.S. You guys always talk about the UK and London, about visiting there. What about coming to visit Sydney, Australia?
I would love to do that.
Pete, put it on the list.
That's a long flight, though.
Send it to our boss. It'll just be part of the tour.
Yeah.
On the NBC tab, we got it. We're going to do it. We're going to expand this worldwide. We're going to Sydney.
I would love that. It's definitely like a must, bucket list place I need to go to in my life.
Do you want to spend it with me and Pete there?
No, absolutely not. Okay. Right. Nope. Sorry.
Okay.
Just me and my wife and my family and everything. The hell with you guys.
All right, so what about Mond? Can he beat out Cousins?
Well, no, not this year. Hey, Kirk Cousins is a real good quarterback. Borderline top 10-ish type quarterback. So I don't want to disrespect him. And he's been playing really good football. Mm-hmm. Let's not forget that just because they drafted a quarterback in the round 3. But what he is going to do this year is going to open up eyes in that organization because they're going to go, whoa. Man, okay, stronger arm, quicker release than Kirk Cousins. Whoa, faster than Kirk Cousins. And then fits within the way I think it's a perfect fit, like a system fit again, where, play action, throw the ball down the field with power and accuracy, that's right up his alley. Mm-hmm. And then throwing on the run off the bootlegs and all of those type of things, he's phenomenal on the run. And he knows how to take care of the football and do all those type of things, which is probably why they liked him too. Because there's Mike Zimmer going, well, this guy kind of understands how to manage the game a little bit as well. Mm-hmm. So I don't think this is about this year. But 2 years from now, that could be a conversation. It's going to depend on how this year goes and everything like that. But as I said to Florio this morning, see, Cousins is, unless you're going deep into the playoffs or Super Bowl, is always going to be one of those guys that people are looking to replace. He is. Because there's not that elite trait that everyone goes, oh, wow, it's awesome. And then he does need a little system help, like we've talked about, where, if the play's not there, he can't be like Mahomes or Josh Allen and extend a play and make something happen. Right. That's not his, strength. So this is where Mond will have a little bit of an advantage on him there. And, it'll be interesting. It's a great pick by them, I think, just for the future, knowing he's got 2 years left on his contract, and it gives them options going forward.
And then they're going to call up Kyle Shanahan and be like, we're finally ready to do it. Do you want Kirk Cousins? And he's like, we can't. We're all in on Trey. We can't do it. I'm sorry. It's too late.
Seriously.
You missed your chance. What about Washington? So they had one pick that you might question. They had another pick that you're going to love.
Yeah.
So they had the linebacker, Jamin Davis, out of Kentucky, 19th overall.
Right.
But then they got De'Ami Brown in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
So you probably don't like one, you probably love the other.
Right.
If they would have switched those guys, taking De'Ami Brown in the 1st round, you'd be like, I love a team.
Fest.
You are high on De'Ami Brown.
I am.
And you're not as high on Jamin Davis.
No, I'm not. But, where I won't fault them was the biggest need on their football team was probably middle line. It was middle lineman. Not probably. It was. Mm-hmm. So, for me, is that overdrafting him? Sure. Now, the guy's special athlete. There's no doubt about that. So, I mean, I'm not mad at them for taking them there. You know, and I'm again, I think I'm one of the guys that's more in the minority with that. To get Cosmi from Texas, they needed some offensive line help. You know, him at tackle, I really like that. But, man, Dyami Brown in round 3?
CJ Easterday, does drafting Dyami Brown make Washington one of the most explosive offenses in the NFL?
Definitely. I mean, it's like history repeated itself with Terry McLaurin. And it's what they got here. Now you got Terry McLaurin 2.0 and Dyami Brown, and you got Curtis Samuel to go with Logan Thomas at tight end and Antonio Gibson at running back. Like, yes, that becomes a really explosive day. I was excited with just Curtis Samuel and McLaurin going, that's going to be hard to match up with those two. One-on-one, they are going to be a to deal with. Now you got him to add to the effect with old Ryan Fitzpatrick pulling the trigger. I just hope he doesn't get too aggressive and it's just like, I'm throwing it deep every play. And he throws 7 interceptions. But, yes, I you know me. I love that pick. Absolutely.
So one more team that had a pick in the first round that you're not going to love, but picks later on that you might. The Panthers. J.C. Horn. 8th overall.
Yep.
Out of South Carolina. You've on this podcast you've said you're not walking pass interference, which is not a compliment to a defensive back.
Nope.
But they did get Terrace Marshall, the wide receiver, in round 2, and then the tight end from Notre Dame, Tommy Tremble, in round 3. So some good with what you think was a bit of an overdraft.
Some really good. You know, even the tackle, Brady Christensen from Brigham Young's a good player. But yeah, to get Terrace Marshall at the end of round 2, and now again, just like we were just talking about with Washington, you're like, what? Now you're going to pair him with Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore? Like, holy shit. And they know Terrace Marshall. Joe Brady was at LSU 2 years ago.
That's true.
So he's going to know exactly what he's got. He's going to have a role for him. So that's where I love that. Talked about the O-line. Now you got Tommy Tremble, too. Tommy Tremble, hey, you know I loved him at the tight end. He's a use check. He could be Kerry Kittle. I mean, George Kittle. I don't any way there, but he's going to be a pain in the ass for personnel matchups. That's the big thing. And then even later in the round, like, hey, Chubba Hubbard, 4th round or end of 4th round, I like that. You know, there's some value to him. He's got some shiftiness and some balance to him that's special. The Davion Nixon kid they took out of Iowa, he's a real athletic interior defensive lineman. Yeah, I don't like J.C. Horn at 8. I know that. I'm definitely in the minority there. Obviously, I get it. But I'll say this, and hopefully I'm wrong for their case or his case. I'm rooting for him. It's not against him. But he fits with everything they've said about defense all along. We want, length and speed. And that's, J.C. Horn is a big, long corner. And they want long linebackers and long defensive ends, and that's the way they are going to play football. So it makes sense. Jeremy Chin at safety, you got him. He's long. So there's at least a vision there that I can get behind.
Pete wants to know if any quarterback has had a bigger upgrade this offseason than Sam Darnold. Going from the Jets and the weapons they had to now Carolina and the weapons they have. Pretty good.
It really is. I'm trying to I don't think there is one that's gone from that seismic of a shift, right?
No, Trevor Lawrence goes from college wide receivers to pro wide receivers, so that's a huge upgrade.
But yes, that's a pretty – he's in a spot where he really has a chance to succeed. I think their offensive line, it's not perfect, but I think it's going to be better this year. McCaffrey will be back. And you talk about these receivers. Yeah, the Panthers are like, okay, if we just had to say teams who didn't make the playoffs who are threats to make it the most next year, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, Miami, definitely, right? I think Carolina is going to be one of those teams I'm going to put a mark next to.
Okay.
Denver is kind of one of those teams I look at to go watch out. Mm-hmm. Of course, New England.
Yeah.
I want to sit here and even tell you the 49ers, watch out. All right? Maybe I'm not as bullish on them. But, man, this is where it's going to be an exciting year.
Detroit Lions? Watch out for them.
Not quite yet,
well,
2022.
Any team in the NFC East. right? I mean, you could just put them in a blender and throw one to the top, and you might be right.
No, I mean, you're right. I'm still going to go with Washington, I think, is in the leader house for me as far as that division. But, like, the Giants will be a pain in the ass for sure. And, yeah, the Dallas, has got some things you look at. But, no, I think the ones that, like Miami, New England, Carolina, the Broncos, the Chargers. I think if you tell me about, like, 4 teams who didn't make it last year that I go, watch out for this year, I think those are the ones I'd jump out.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.